Hello, my name is Jeanette of Goldberry's Gardens, and today I wanted to show you how I go about creating a pattern because I have a new pattern I wanted to come up with. I recently found a game called Peridot, or Peridot. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. It's put out by Niantic, who do Pokemon, and you can get these little dot creatures. I'll put that right there. And they're very cute. You can take care of them like a little pet, and then you can breed and hatch more. And I was looking around, I couldn't find any like stuffed animal ones or any crocheted ones, so I was thinking, oh, I should make a crocheted pattern for it because that'd be very cute. And I started with this one, and I kind of like where it's going. I like how the feet are, and I have a place for the head, but I don't really have a good belly because the Peridots are pretty skinny. We'll just call them dots. And this has quite a little pot belly. My sister said it looked like a water buffalo, so maybe I'll turn this one into a water buffalo, but I wanted to show you what I do to make a pattern and how I go about that process. This notebook is from Archer and Olive. I showed it in my last video, and I decided I would indeed make it my pattern notebook and design notebook, so I'm just doing random designs, whatever I want to do in it. And then I decided to put my pattern in here just because I had this and I wanted to do it manually instead of typing it up like I often do. So I wrote out all the specifications because the dots can have like different patterns, tails, horns, plumage. They've got all sorts of things they can be, and I drew out some of the parts. And then I wrote out a pattern for the feet, which I like, and I wrote out a pattern for this body, and I just decided I don't love it. So then I was drawing this last night just to see where I should go for a new pattern. So I'm going to start working on this and do this head pattern I wrote out, and then I'll show you where I am at that point. So already I've made some changes to the pattern. I took it up to 36 instead of just 30 stitches around for the ball-shaped head, and I did this because I think I'm gonna make the body a little larger, and I really want the head and the body to have about the same diameter because that's what it looks like in the game. I also wanted there to be enough space to attach little horns because my particular dot that I'm trying to make has these curly horns that look kind of like this. They're called like barrel. Harrow? I don't know how to pronounce some of these things, but they're 2-star, they're not 4-star horns, but I still think they're very cute, so I definitely want to include them, and I need enough space up at the top to be able to create the horns, make them twisty, and not make them look huge compared to the rest of the head and body. I've now completed the head, and I already made some modifications to my pattern. I took it all the way up to 36 single crochet around because at 30 it just wasn't looking big enough. And then I also did 6 rows of 36 single crochet to make it not be completely flat because it was going to be more like an oval. Not oval, but not as much of a ball as I wanted it to be. So the next step is going to be to bring it down around the body in kind of this shape. It will be a little bit of a bigger body than this, but I still have to avoid the belly being really big. So I will meet you there once I've done a little bit of the crocheting. I also completely forgot to make more legs for this one, and I'll probably just use the other end of my yarn to make some legs because it doesn't take very much yarn, and then I'll incorporate those into the pattern as I go because I really want to make the body no-sew. I don't like sewing patterns, and if there's sewing involved in this one, I will not want to make more. So I'll meet you back there. I have now done some short rows at the front of the body to make it come down, and the goal is for it to kind of stand up like this, and hopefully I can get the feet to go like this and not stick out the front because while that's still cute, it's not the look I'm going for. My next goal then is to close this section off and pull the feet under itself and then start tapering towards the bottom. I was in fact able to get the legs to go down and not stick out the front. I used a lot of decreases and came up with a decrease skip stitch, which I've seen in patterns, but I just called it that because you start the decrease and then you skip the next stitch and then finish the decrease, and it's kind of like single crochet 3 together but less bulky. So that's how I got this shape, and now I just need to make the rear, and then the back legs are going to be attached somehow onto there, and then the body will be done and I can start making the more fun and exciting parts. With some careful increases and decreases around the belly, I was able to get this shape, and now the next step is to get the back feet to go in the right direction. It's kind of the opposite problem I had with the front feet, where I didn't want those to stick. I do want the back feet to stick out a little, but then I have to close off the bottom without it getting too bulky and just keeping everything proportionate and smooth. And I'm trying to stuff as I go so that I have a better idea of the final shape of all of this. So I'll check back in once I've done some more of the bottom. I made it a little further and I did 3 more rows since I showed you before. The first row I just decreased a little bit, and then I was able to get to 36, and I can just start decreasing so that it comes out kind of round, because in the game the dots do have a pretty round rear, just like their head. The one thing I'm concerned about at this point is the end getting too pointy and kind of coming like this instead of just being flat. So I might have to do more than 6 decreases in a round just to make it finish off a little faster. But I think this is most of the shaping, so I'll show you when it's done, and then we can get to the kind of accessory parts. To finish off the body, I started with 6 decreases like I typically would, and then I switched to 8 because I really didn't want to puff out too much and get pointy. It's still a little pointy just because of the way I sewed it, but we're going to put a tail on there and then you won't even notice. The next part of Dancer that I want to make is his face, and he just has a round face. Some of them have like heart-shaped faces, some of them have like cloud faces, but his face is round, so I'm going to do pretty much 6 and then do increases until I get up to probably around 30, and then I'll sew that on the front of his face. And for the eyes, I'll probably just do small magic circles and then finish off and then sew those on top of each other. I don't want to use safety eyes for this because I don't think you'll get that same cuteness as it is in the picture. My desk and craft area in general have gotten increasingly messy as I've been working on this. I did not write down the pattern for the eyes, which I should probably do because so far all the eyes I've seen on the dots are the same style. But I have a face on now. I really like how the gray looks. The eyes look a little bit lost. I almost wish I had some sparkly brown yarn that I could use, because I think that would give it a more lively effect. But in general, I like the way it's going. I'll trim off all of these ends and stuff once I've done everything, but next up I just have to make the horns, the eyelashes, and the tail. And I know there's some various differences between some of the dots, so even though he's got eyelashes, he's got 4 on this side and 5 on this side actually, even though another one with eyelashes has 4 and 4, but or they're called eyebrows, I don't remember which one it calls them, but I'm going to add those on next with the horns and then the tail, and then Dancer should be all set. So I'll show you once I've done all of that and cut off all the loose ends. Since last time I filmed, I think it's been 2 or 3 days. The horns and tail, all of the parts of the pattern took way longer than I expected, just because I had to redo certain parts and then sew it together, which I don't enjoy, which is fine. But here is the final result. I made the tail really big. I have to do this from another angle. The horns actually stay like this on their own. I didn't put any wire in them. The little eyebrows, I think they're called, stay up, and I have that one stray eyebrow that for some reason shows up. And then the tail is enormous, and in the game it has multiple stars on it, like little stars, but because I can only get so detailed with yarn, I just did the kind of big star. And I thought about adding some silver embroidery floss since the whole thing's supposed to be sparkly, but I decided that was way too much work. So I'll show you him from another angle. And here's the final result. I'm so proud of how this pattern came out. And I have all the notes here. So I might share a pattern, or I might share my pattern notes. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in, and let me know if you have a Peridot or dot that you would want me to try making next, because I think it'd be really cool to make more of these. And now that I have the basic body and eye shape down and some of the body parts they can have, I'm pretty sure I can make more dots more easily and faster than this first time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.